What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Robert Robleski. We have a great interview today with someone I've been wanting to share with for a few weeks now. So before we get started with all that, I do want to go over a couple sponsors. I got to do a shout out to Steve Dial from Bruiser Baits. Contact him if you want to get yourself set up with some awesome baits, whether it's customs or his top of the line baits. Also, Flat Out Tungstens, he also owns that as well. They have Ned Rig shaky heads, things that you want to use up north, or anything tungsten wise that you want to use in Florida and all over the United States. Eternal lithium batteries. It's always nice to have yourself a nice set of batteries that you don't have to worry about having issues when you're on the water. So contact Spencer and he'll definitely get you squared away. Arc rods, man, I'm loving the new set of Arc Gravity reels. Seriously, Arc rods. I have all three models, the G3, G5, and G7, and they all work flawlessly. I haven't had any issues, and they also have some new hard baits they have in stock as well, so you got to go check them out. And last but not least, True Grit Tackle. By far, it's the toughest jigs I have ever used. They definitely don't shed the paint on the head, so they last for a long time. Contact Ryan Sheffield, and he will basically customize a couple of jigs for you and to your liking. All right, guys, some tournament news that I want to go over. All right. Congratulations to Josh Weaver for winning the MLF Invitational on Lake Okeechobee. I got the chance to watch all 3 days of that event, and it was pretty interesting watching the guys that struggled flipping compared to the guys that were, throwing moving baits. So you got to give Joshua Weaver a huge congratulations with a 3-day total of 72 pounds, almost a 10-pound difference from first to second. Damn, dude, you smoked them. I think he had 31 on day 2 and 26 on day 3. But dude, right there, when you have a 30-pound bag and you bring in another 25-pound bag, I mean, it's really, really hard to surpass that. So congratulations again. We also know that the elites are going on right now. Big congratulations to Scott Martin. He is in second place going into the event. I've actually been watching the elites right now and trying to go back and forth and trying to do this video and then also watch the event that's going on. Pretty interesting to see how some of these guys are fishing these waters and how they can relate to what they seen what the MLF did, and now the elites are trying to chase that. It's a 4-day event. Try to see if they can chase that $100,000. And the lake has been fishing kind of small to a certain extent. And obviously this is my opinion. You can agree with me or not. I honestly haven't been there since the summer, so things have definitely changed. Obviously the hurricane has brought up the waters very, very high, moved things all the way around. It's typical Okeechobee. To me, it's a lake that changes every couple of hours. Things move, high winds. I mean, you got mats that move from one area to another. I've seen it all. Been fishing that lake my whole life, and right now these fish are just scattered everywhere because with the high water, they just got room to roam everywhere they can possibly can. And there's been a ton of dock talk that people are saying the lake sucks, that it's not the same as it once was. And that's really all you hear is everybody just bitching about the lake, the spring, the high waters. And look, be plain and simple, the lake is not what it once was years ago. We could all admit it. Things have changed. But it doesn't suck. It really, really doesn't suck. You have to adjust to it. Maybe it's just you that sucks right now on fishing Lake Okeechobee, that you've had some great opportunities in the past, you've caught some big fish, you have had some great wins or whatever, but when you sit there and complain all the time about this and this and that about Okeechobee, it's not Okeechobee. You have to adjust to what Okeechobee has to offer. It doesn't suck. It's possibly you that are sucking. And I'm not gonna pinpoint anybody, but there's a lot of people out there that sit there and bitch and complain all the time about how Lake Okeechobee sucks. And again, it doesn't suck. It's just you. You got to adjust to it. So that's just my opinion about it. And adjusting to the lake's pattern and what it has to offer. Stop fishing the history, fish what's in front of you, and I'm not surprised that the majority of the fish were caught on moving baits, honestly. They're all caught on moving baits, whether it's topwater, the frog, the chatterbait, the swim jig. The flipping bite, the punching bite, it's there, but I think your chances of catching a bigger fish, a higher chance is if you recover a little bit more water and throw moving baits. Just because the way how the lake is, how high it is, and all that. I love flipping. I love flipping Okeechobee. I've caught absolute giants just doing that pattern, but I think flipping that lake is better when the lake's a little bit down, like 13 plus, or if you're fishing less than 13 feet of water on that lake, even 12, 11, 10, you know, a lot of those fish move outside, and the flipping bite is just, it's on. And you can also agree with me with this. When that water level is a lot lower, the fishing tends to be more consistent. Obviously, those fish are going to move from shallow to a little bit more outside the edge. And again, the flipping bite is going to be on. But anyways, time will tell. I don't know if anybody got to watch the Super Bowl. I thought the Super Bowl was a great game. Kind of feel bad for the Eagles. That was a really, really good team that was just put together. And at the beginning of the game, there was a turnover. Jalen Hurts fumbled. Kansas City Chiefs picked it up, scored a touchdown. And you just can't have turnovers, especially that lead into points or touchdowns. And you think you're going to go ahead and try to win that game. I love Jalen Hurts. I think he's an awesome quarterback. I love the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm actually pretty bummed that, you know, Tennessee traded away A.J. Brown for a first-round pick to the Eagles. Should have got a little bit more for that. It's another story. Everybody knows I'm a big Titans fan, but to trade away A.J. Brown like that, like they did last year, just still kind of hurt about it, not gonna lie. But again, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles was a great team. They had great talent. It just wasn't their time. I'm not saying that they're not going to be back. I think they are going to be back. I think they're a staple team. You know, hopefully those pieces stay around for years to come. But got to do a congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs on winning another Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, you know, all those guys that, you know, put together that team and make it happen. I mean, dude, Mahomes had a high ankle sprain, you know, all through the game. And he even hurt it before halftime, and he still went out there and just balled. And the greats do that. And he's honestly becoming the great. He's a two-time NFL MVP, and he's won the Super Bowl twice. So at a young age, I think he's like only 26 or 27. So he's got plenty of years left, plenty of fuel in the tank. We'll see what the Kansas City Chiefs have to do for the next couple more years to try to become a dynasty. The Super Bowl halftime show, I think it was all right. Honestly, I mean, I grew up listening to Rihanna, whatever her name is. Most people my age can say they actually did grow up listening to her. You know, you go to a lot of clubs, a lot of bars and stuff like that. A lot of her music was pretty popular at the time when I was younger. And I just I wasn't very impressed with the Super Bowl halftime show. I thought Chris Stapleton's national anthem was the hit of the night. It was very emotional. I mean, you can see Nick Sirianni, the head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, literally crying, most likely because of joy, because how good Chris Stapleton really was in the national anthem. He literally was unbelievable. He was the man, great voice, totally happy with the whole performance. So me and Pam went to Buckhead, Atlanta for this past weekend for my birthday. And I went ahead and got to see Nick Swartzen live. It's a comedian. He also has done like Grandma's Boy, Malibu Most Wanted. He's been in a lot of Adam Sandler movies. Dude is super, super funny. I ain't gonna lie. Not much of a big city guy, so going to Atlanta always gives me like anxiety. Just a big melting pot full of people that I just don't really, maybe just because I'm getting older. Maybe when I was younger, it was a little bit more of a thing for me, but I just don't like big cities. I just too busy. Um, I just don't like big cities. I went to Chicago a couple years ago for Thanksgiving, and I just didn't like it. I mean, despite how freaking cold it was, I'm just not a big city guy. Never have been, never will. Like I said, maybe when I was younger, but I grew up in Southwest Florida. It wasn't really a big city life down there like it is kind of now. I think Naples has grown very, very big to a huge, large. It's literally the most expensive city in the United States, the richest city in the United States. So, just not a big city guy, never have been. But, anyways, enough about me. Let's get this interview going. I reached out to Erik Kraft, who won the co-angler for the Harris chain at the Toyota Series, and I asked him to try to come on and see if he could talk about his big win. What his goals for the remainder of the season. It was a great interview. Hopefully you guys can enjoy it as much as I did. And like I said before in my last video, I am starting this from scratch. There's going to be a lot of hiccups, a lot of things that I will eventually get better at. But please DM me, text me, email me, comment. I mean, even if it's like a negative comment that's somewhat positive, just leave it. I like to hear what people's advice has to offer, and hopefully it can make me a better podcaster, a better YouTuber. Like I said, I don't have a specific name for my show. I haven't really came.
Got you.
What's up, dude?
Man, nothing, just working, living the American dream, I guess.
Living your American dream. All right, guys. Well, today I'm interviewing Erik Kraft. Dude, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you having me.
No problem, dude. No problem. So I don't really know a lot about you. Obviously, I'm going to interview you. I'm going to get to know you a little bit more, and then obviously everybody that views and subscribes to my channel will get to see this podcast. So, Erik, he went ahead and just got his first career win over at the Harris chain as a co-angler. Dude, that's a huge congrats, a huge accomplishment. Just because, being a co-angler is difficult as it is with all the obstacles that you have to occur during the event, before or after. So, dude, congratulations. It looks like you fished over a little bit over 11 events. You've won over 40K, and dude, again, congratulations. Tell me about that win.
Appreciate it, man. The win was very surreal. First day I go in, I drew a guy that was offshore. I practice offshore for that reason. That's kind of one of my, I wouldn't say a weakness of mine, but more so I'm not well versed in that area of fishing. I'm more of a flipper, frogger, casting a worm around, more so like that. So I drew a guy. His name was Burley Wharf, older guy. He was a very cool boater. He said, "Hey man, I found some offshore hydrilla, and we were throwing a worm around, and hey man, we're just gonna go give it hell. I caught 4 fish and I left it alone, so let's see what we got." So we pull up and there's about, I don't know, 30 boats there. So I'm like, all right, well, it seems like you found some fish. So he goes to pick out, starts getting his rods out. He picks up a worm. I'm like, all right, well, I caught some fish on a golden shiner chatterbait. I'm gonna go ahead and chuck this around. Third cast, I caught a 2-pounder. I'm like, all right, cool. So he's like, oh, chatterbait? I got a chatterbait. So he pulls it out and he sticks him a 5-pounder. I don't know, about 5-6 casts later, I'm like, dude, this is gonna be a good day. Cool. Well, he can only fish for about, I don't know, 40 minutes at a time. He's got a lot of medical issues. Awesome guy, man. He just kind of spot locked there. He said, hey, you can cast wherever you want when I'm not fishing, sitting down. I said, all right, man, I appreciate it. So, I start catching some fish. He ended up catching one other 2-pounder. Unfortunately, that was the only 2 fish he caught all day. So I just kept casting my chatterbait around, and my first big fish came, I don't know, like my chatterbait. I thought I was hung in the the hydrilla. I was trying to rip it out, and next thing I know, there's a 6-pounder jumping out of the hydrilla. And I'm like, oh shit, I just missed this fish. Well, when I got tight on the fish, I got the fish all the way up. I already had like, I don't know, 4 fish in the box, so that was going to be my 5th. I caught some other smaller fish, nothing to really write home to mom about. So I get it in. He nets it. I get it in the boat, put it in the box. I go and check my chatterbait to check my trailer. and my snap ring's unclipped. Like,
Wow.
wow, what a lucky guy. And Burley's like, man, just clip it back. I'm like, I'm fishing for a lot of money here, dude. So I took his advice. I clipped it back. Started. I caught like one other 2-pounder on it, and it just was making me uneasy. So I compared it to another chatterbait, and sure shit, that clip wasn't right. So I was like, all right. So I ended up picking up another golden shiner chatterbait, and I don't know if this makes sense. I've heard it does. That chatterbait I was using was really broken. Like the paint was real worn off, and I just had that confidence in it. I don't know if it's making a different sound because I've been told the more you use them, the more they wear in, and I feel like it was true because I didn't really get as many bites after I switched to the other one. But my one other key bite was a 7-pounder. I'm telling Burley a story. I don't remember about what, but I look at him and I stop my chatterbait and I catch a 7-pounder when I paused it. It smoked the chatterbait. So I put that one in the box, and now I'm like jumping for joy. It's 9:30 in the morning, and I'm like, man, I got a 4:30. I got a 4:45 weigh in. What am I going to do for the next 8 hours? Let's go weigh in right now.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, so
So man,
that was okay. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was day one.
no,
You obviously drew a boater that had, like you were just able to take advantage of everything he was given to you, which a lot of times as co-anglers,
yeah, pretty much because
yeah,
yeah.
and I've been co-angler many, many times before I started becoming a boater, and sometimes you're not given those opportunities. Like they're strict, man. Do not cast past me. Do not, don't do anything to try to get my fish. Let me get my fish first, or let me get those casts first. So that's
Oh, and I always respect those boundaries. I mean, anybody
yeah,
that's has drawn me. I usually just stick to the console and the back half of the boat. Now, if they're fishing the front of the boat, I may go maybe 10 degrees in front of the console. Nothing serious. I would never. I'm not one of those guys that if he's not really giving me anything I'm happy with, I'm not going to cast to the front of the boat and cause conflict. I just kind of chalk it up to, hey man, that's shitty draw. It is what it is.
yeah. I know it's the truth. So day two, you drew. Who else did you drew that day?
So day
How did that
day
go?
two is Levi Wiggett. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly or not. Another great boater, man. He same thing, offshore hydrilla. We're pretty much in the same area, just maybe I don't know, maybe 350 to 500 feet away from where my 21-pound bag came from. Same thing, great boater, man. They didn't really bite for me that as good as they did the day before, but I was able to get a last minute 5-pounder. Basically, I guess I kind of do owe it to him too, because when he got his 5, he had 18 pounds, and he's like, "Hey man, you got 4 fish. You're doing great in this tournament. Is there anything I can do?" I said, "Man, if you could just get me close enough to that hydrilla patch right over there where it all went down, I'd be tickled to death." Well, he did it, dude, and I caught a last minute 5-pounder with 20 minutes left in that day of the tournament, and man, I couldn't believe it. I saved the day. I had 13 pounds, and yeah, man, it was awesome, dude. It really was.
That's cool. That's
So
cool.
that was two good boaters, and I mean, fishing offshore it's kind of hard. You can't really get. I mean, other than maybe there's fishing like a shell bar or a brush pile that they're isolated on, or live scoping. I've never been on the back of a boat someone was live scoping. I don't really go northern, but I mean, so I've been pretty fortunate with that. But I've been on plenty of flippers boats, and you either learn how to flip or you kind of struggle.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool. So day two, basically going to day three, you were leading the event, right?
Yes, I was by
Okay,
about
so
almost 4 pounds. That's just
almost
under
four
4 pounds.
pounds. And so you drew the guy. So they pair you up. The guy that's in first place, co-angler, first place boater. They pair him up, right?
Yep.
Yes. So then you drew Erik, who's obviously leading. He had a pretty good two
Dude.
days, and then he kind of choked it out. Where so you guys ended up going all the way to Paca, it seems like, right?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
went to a Popka, and I wouldn't even say he choked it out, man. I mean, he's a hell of a fisherman. It's just what he told me that the wind picked up. Obviously, so his spot kind of got blown out. So his fish set up differently, I think, because he said before he was able to kind of tell that they were spawning because he could kind of see the reeds moving. I mean, when I tell you had to fish painfully slow, it was painfully slow. And I was, everybody was psyching me out, obviously, because man, Eric's one of the best fishermen in Florida, which he is. Dude, that guy's a hammer. I can't take anything from him. So I started throwing like a frog, a speed worm, other stuff. I was like, man, maybe I just pick up some bucks. Maybe if I can get 10 pounds, I think I could win this thing. Well, we got about an hour in, and he finally catches a fish, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm trying to throw all this off the wall stuff. I'm going to go ahead and flip the backside of what he's not fishing, or I'm going to flip a little deeper than what he's flipping. And it really paid off for me in a big way. Flipping's kind of like my second. I started doing it about 2 years ago, heavy, and I love it, man. I'm a big flipper and frogger. So
Yeah, and I know that Eric Morgan was recording you, and I saw some of the stuff live, and I noticed that how the boat was positioned, and you had all that back stuff to flip. When you were flipping, were you just repeatedly like doing the same cast, or you're letting it sit, going up and down? What were you using? That kind of thing.
So I kind of peeked over at what Eric was doing to get these fish to bite. And I mean, when I tell you painfully slow, you had to pitch it in and you had to just sit there. What his description on when he was interviewed was accurate to a T. He told them exactly what he was doing. So when you pitch it in there, you kind of just had to let it sit, count to 8 essentially, and then what I was doing was there was like blown in reeds, and it was almost matted up, but very like a small, like a kind of like a baby mat. And I was pitching it on a 3/4 ounce weight, and I'd pitch it in there and I'd let it sit at the bottom, and I'd wait till like 5 or 6 seconds, and I would slowly pull it up, slowly let it back down. And I was able, after the 9th time, I was getting bit. And
Nice.
I was able to scrounge five fish together doing that, and they just happened to be the right bites. I call it like a 4.5, a 3, and but it was all like a blur, man. I just kept putting them in the live well. I didn't weigh them, I didn't look at them, I didn't nothing. I just wanted to get 5 fish. Because I got to day 3 last year, and I ended up, I wouldn't say dropping the ball, but I only brought 4 fish to the stage, and it was a defeating feeling, man. You got everybody kind of watching you, and you're like, man, I don't want to let these guys down, let alone myself.
Yeah, and it's hard because like you got that in your back of your mind whenever you're doing good in the event. It's like, I mean, you got all these people like that are expecting you to do good. Sometimes you just have to like mute that and just focus on yourself, because you let all that big crowd noise come to you. I've played in sporting events and football, all throughout my whole life, and you just got to mute that stuff out. The fish in front of you, but dude, obviously you won it. That's a huge accomplishment. You won a Phoenix boat with it. So you're going to go ahead and you ordered a new boat. My next question was, are you going to finish this year as a co-angler, and then next year you're going to take that jump as a boater, or you're going to go straight to the boater now that I did what I can. I got to win as a co-angler. Trust me, it's very hard to get a good check as a co-angler, to even win one. It's like, like you accomplish a huge dream. So now, are you ready to take that next level, or are you going to take one tournament at a time?
So here's my plan now. So last year I started this journey. I've been fishing my whole life, and then I've always done like club tournaments, and it's always been my dream to make it to the top, as everybody says. But last year I decided, hey, I'm gonna get my feet wet with some of these bigger tournaments. So last year I fished exclusively as a co-angler in the big tournaments, Toyota, BFL, and ABA. I qualified for all the championships in those events. So this year I said, okay, well, I bought a Stratus. I bought a Stratus last year because I had a tracker. I still have it. I got to get rid of it. I got to sell it. So tracker's for sale if anybody wants one. But I got a Stratus. I started doing that, man. I put new Raptors on it, new jack plate, 3 new graphs, a Garmin force trolling motor. I put like 13 grand into this boat. So I decided that I am fishing the BFLs this year as a boater. I was ready to fish Okeechobee. Okeechobee got canceled. So I have not got to fish the boater side yet. Now, the Toyota, I made a commitment one more year to fish as a co-angler because, man, those guys are just good. And I learned a lot last year. I didn't really learn anything too much fishing the BFL because, you get that local draw who, you're like, man, I drew this guy. And I'm like, man, I kind of feel like I could outfish this guy, man. So,
yeah.
And then you kind of get, I wouldn't say, I don't like the word backboated, but you kind of get like, you're not really around fish. You get that sense. You're like, man, I really wouldn't be here with these conditions. So I am going to finish this year on the Toyotas as a just to finish it out. I'm going to save up. I'm going to start a little separate account, and I'm going to make the jump. I'm going to make the jump to a boater in the Toyotas next year, which is a big jump for me because I don't have sponsors, not any paying sponsors by any means. And it's just a Rego that, I'll just come here and work and they let me get some time off. So that's pretty much all I got as far as sponsors go. You know, I hope to kill it these tournaments, so I can maybe reach out to some sponsors and get some help. That'd be cool, man, because I don't plan on going anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's cool that you got this goal and everything. You know, a lot of people just say, "Oh, I won it, and I'm just going to continue doing a thing. I'm just going to be a back at the boat or a co-angler, a, a forever co-angler." And I know people like that. And I honestly, dude, like,
Yeah, no, and there's
yeah,
people that are very successful. Actually, the guy that took second, man, he's a damn good co-angler. He's won a lot of money.
yeah,
I just finally got to meet him in the weigh-in line, but I saw him creeping up on me when I was going into day three. I'm like, oh man, that guy's got this game figured out.
yeah, exactly.
But no,
So
my goal is to move up to boater. I definitely want to. That was the always been the goal. I just I wanted to major tournaments. I didn't want to go donate right away. I wanted to see what it's about. And man, I've learned a lot in these little. It's just been a little over a year since I've been doing this.
yeah. So so the next couple tournaments you got Okeechobee in the next 6 weeks or so. I'm probably going to go ahead and participate on that one. I haven't decided yet, but I'm leaning towards of
Awesome.
doing it because it is my home lake and that's really truly where I'm from. Then the next one is Lake Eufaula, Alabama. Have you ever fished outside of Florida? Do you have
Yeah.
any experience outside of Florida?
Outside of Florida owns me, man. I fished last year. I fished Santee Cooper, which was where I drew Devin Van Dalen. Awesome guy, man. He had a pretty good spot, but I guess his spot got like shocked the day before. He was doing pretty good on a spinner bait, and I was, when I got on the boat, I was like, all right, Florida, typical Florida guy. I was like, all right, well, he's running a spinner bait. I'm gonna flip I'm gonna flip all these trees, and it just didn't really work out for me too much. I think I ended up with one or two fish, not too good. So South Carolina owns me, and Alabama owns me. I caught fish at both those places, but I didn't do so hot. I'm not good with I call it a fairy wand. So
Yeah.
anytime you have to pick up an upside down reel, I'm not. I gotta get well versed if I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I mean, yeah, it takes some time, when you're strictly been just using bait casters, you go to a spinning reel and it's like what do I do with this? I know moving up north, being up here for the last year, I mean, I've had a totally finesse. I drop shot it, I do all kinds of things with the spinning
I've
rods.
never drop shotted a day in my life, and every time I
Dude,
see someone put a wacky worm on, I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
and wait
But
till you become a
I need
boater
to.
and you decide to go up north and you learn how to live scope and you catch a fish doing that, you're gonna get hooked. I guarantee you. The first time you're
Oh
gonna be
man,
like,
I
dude, I
bet you
want
I
to keep
will.
doing it.
That's cool, man. That's got to be cool because I did go ahead and upgrade and order that boat with live scope. So I guess I'm gonna have to become one of those live scope guys.
In order to compete in a high level,
You have
Eric,
to have the
you
equipment.
gotta have the equipment, man. You
I
gotta
agree
have
with you.
live scope.
I agree with you.
You gotta have all that because a majority of those guys, unless you're fishing like we're Okeechobee, where they're not really using the live scope to catch those fish. Which it's funny because I interviewed Kyle Cortiana just before that event started, and I asked him, I'm like, you think live scope is going to play a game to this? And he said, yeah, I hope so on my end. So I thought the live scope was going to play a big part of it, and Okeechobee is fishing how Okeechobee fishes, and that's without
Yep.
electronics. So but whenever you get outside of that comfort zone, and you go to Harris, and then you go even in Toho, they live scope. When I fished the MPFL event last year at Kissimmee, Taylor Watkins that won it forward facing sonar, and it's crazy. Now with all this technology, if you don't learn how to do it, and you're not going to be able to compete against these guys at all.
Yeah, I'm definitely that's definitely something on my agenda for sure. I mean, I'm big about learning, man. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna get my teeth kicked in. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna donate to these guys for a while. But if there's one thing about me, I'm always gonna get back up and I'm gonna come back stronger. So I look forward to it. I look forward to a challenge, man. Anything that I take on, I want to get it. I want to get to the top. So I will learn it. I will learn it. Believe you me.
That's awesome. So what are some guys that you fish with now, being as you've been a co-angler for a couple years now and so forth? What are some cool names, some cool guys that you fish, and tell me guys that you just I hope I never fish with this guy.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. Greco last year, I drew him first. My first ever Toyota, I drew him day two. He's obviously a big puncher. That man's a machine, dude. Fishing behind him is very very tough. Awesome dude. great fisherman. I got to give that. I got hats off to that guy. Um, like I said, I mean, I drew Devin. He did really good up there in Santee. We only got 1 day of fishing in, so that was one of my boat. I only got one boater draw there. And Harris Chain last year. I had 3 really good boaters, man. I got to draw Joshua Weaver. He was awesome. Learned a lot on his boat. We're still friends to this day. Day 2 was Val Olinsky, Gambler Baits.
Yep.
He was a really cool dude. And then last day was Erik Conant. So, man, he's a good fisherman too, man. Just you learn a lot fishing behind these hammers, man. And then I'll tell you, dude. But and this tournament, Burley Wharf, who he's just getting up there in age, but awesome dude. And Levi, and then Eric, man. Eric, that guy's got a bright future. That guy can fish. And
Yeah.
Levi's a damn good fisherman himself too. So
That's cool.
I mean, no big names. I've never drawn like a Bobby Lane or when I say big names, I no disrespect to who I have drawn, but I'm saying I haven't drawn 20-year pro, if that makes sense. A lot of up and comers.
Yeah. And no, you'll probably get that. I mean, you got Okeechobee, and then you'll follow going on to the next one. So after those 2 events, you're in to fish Table Rock now, right?
Oh, I'm stoked about that, man. I guess I'm gonna have to go figure out this whole spinning rod deal, huh?
You're gonna have to figure out the spinning rod.
I guess I'll go out back.
I know you're friends with Eric Morgan, and me and Pam. We qualified at Okeechobee. We got 4th on that one to qualify for the team championship at Table Rock. And I remember day 1 of that event, I was boat side with Eric, and we were just kind of drifting. 2 hours of fog delay. It was 21 degrees, dude. It was cold. It was cold, and you better bring your freaking warm clothes with you and your winter clothes, because it's gonna be cold, dude. You're gonna be shivering, bro. I'm telling you.
Well, I lived in Alaska for 2 years, so that I'll be all right with the cold. I'll figure it out.
So beyond fishing, you're from what? Port St. Lucie, right?
Well, yeah, born and
On the
raised
East
in West
Coast.
Palm. Yep, but I am from Port St. Lucie. I reside in Port St. Lucie, work in West Palm. Yeah, East Coast.
And then you said you went to Alaska for a couple years?
I moved to Alaska like back in 2012. I moved there for 2 years. My uncle owns a heating business up there, and my dad's like, "Hey, man, you're young, dude. You're 18. Why don't you come on up and give it a try?" So you got a Florida boy, and I moved up there I moved up there in February, and my first job is installing chimneys in negative 40-degree weather. So that was cool. That was cool, man.
So that's a bucket list state for me to go to.
Beautiful,
go to Alaska.
beautiful place.
So I mean, you were there for 2 years. You saw the roller coaster of what the weather is like.
Well,
so how many months out of the year does it really stay warm?
Well, so probably 3 maybe, not, and that's on the light end but it's a different kind of cold. Like 20 degrees there is t-shirt weather. 20 degrees feels great. So it doesn't start getting like cold so it gets to 0 in the negative. So, but a lot of the houses don't have AC, so it does get hot as hell in the summer at certain times, because it will get up to 80 degrees, high 70s sometimes. So I did miss my AC.
Did you ever get to fish over in Alaska?
So I did. I caught some trout. I hooked a king salmon, but he couldn't get the bass out of me. I tried to rip their face off. I'm a wormer growing up. So I got my grandpa who taught me how to fish. So I'm used to the monofilament days where they just go and yoke back and rear back and try to rip their face off. So that's everybody cool. That fishes with me, even when I go snook fishing, I'm setting up you're setting up way too hard. I didn't do anything.
That's awesome.
So no, it was cool, but I did get to kill a bear and a moose up there, so that was badass experience.
So you like to hunt? You're a hunter?
Yeah, but not as much as I don't get to do it as much as I would like, but I did get to do that. But I'd like to go deer hunting down here more. But man, I focus so much on fishing and I got my my son playing baseball, and I got 3 kids and got my wife, so I gotta pick one sport and stick to it. But I would love to get out there more.
Well,
I gotta pick one hobby. They're all expensive, man. Expensive ass hobbies.
Oh yeah, I mean fishing, let alone. Hey, now that you're gonna want to become a boater, everything just moved up $1,000. So
I know. Dude, I think I put $45,000 into this last year, man. It's not cheap. It's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
I can start my own tackle shop.
You probably could, but at the end of the day, you're doing what you love, and that's why we do it. And even though it's such a big expense, we're going to find ways to do it because that's what we truly love. And we want to be just like everybody else and win one of these events and be successful. And dude, again, congratulations on that big Harris win. I won't keep you on here too much longer. I know that you're really good friends with Alex Tarasenko with Cinco Sticks Rods. I know that you were representing them at the Harris chain. I speak very highly of Alex. I've met him a few times when I was fishing and competing at Okeechobee. Dude is a cool guy, and I know a lot of friends that Matt Weeda, Bradley McQueen, Kel Stevens, Mikey Kiso, those guys. Trevor Hamlin I know very well. He's fished with me. Erik. I mean, all you guys, man. I still talk to you guys on a regular basis, and it's. Tell me about Cinco Six. Tell me why. I know that I represent ARC, but tell me what separates Alex's company with Cinco Sticks.
Well, this is going to be probably this. I can go for hours on this guy, but so it all started, man. I saw a Facebook post. He said, "Hey, I'm going to be starting. I've been building rods. I'm going to be taking the leap. I'm going to be starting my own, rod building company." And I didn't know Alex at the time. So one of my friends shared it, and I reached out to him. Hey man, I'm looking to upgrade my equipment. I got some info on a flipping stick. I wanted to start just with one rod, that technique specific. He's like, all right, well, he shoots me the price. I wasn't really in a position at the time, So I was like, all right, man. Well, what about? He came out with some apparel. I was like, what about a hat? So he's like, yeah, man, come by, dude. And we met, and I bought a $30 hat. First thing I bought from Alex. I had a tournament that weekend, and I wasn't even using Alex's rods. And I had the hat. I was wearing it, repping Cinco Sticks because I said, I'm going to buy some rods. I'm just going to save up some money. And I fished this tournament. I did pretty good, but I didn't say anything about it. And he reaches out to me. He's like, hey man, how'd you do in that tournament? And I was like, I told him how I finished. He's like, awesome. A guy that hasn't even bought really any product, right? Like I haven't spent hardly any money from, with him. It was a $30 hat, and he just the relationship I built from that moment on. I ended up, we stayed in contact. I kept fishing. I finally broke like one of my go-to rods, and I was like, well, I guess it's time to, take the leap. And I ordered like 3 or 4 rods from him. It was my first order. Paid full price. It hurt because they're really nice rods. You got pay to play. And man, as soon as I put those rods in my hand, it was just second to none, man. I ended up, I didn't want to pick up anything else on my deck. I had 5 different types of rods, and I found myself always reaching for my Senko stick. And I just noticed that my fishing career just went to the next level, not only because of the product, which, we could all sit here and preach, hey, art this, Fitzgerald that, but just my confidence in what I was using, and he truly cares about his product. Like, if I got a rod from him, like, man, Alex, I feel like this tip's a little soft. He's like, all right, well, what do you think about this? Let's, he'll sit there and make the rod for you. Everybody fishes different. You could fish a chatterbait different than I could fish a chatterbait. You might want your rod one way. I want my rod the other. And that was what started it all for me. And I just, dude, my fishing career just went to the next level. And now I own 25 of them. And I got 2 more on order, and he's never I call it big league, right? I'm a nobody right now, right? I'm a nobody. I'm an up and comer in the fishing game, but he's never like not taking the time to listen to what I want out of a product. And that meant something to me. That really did. Like, he would, hey man, what do you think about that worm rod? Hey, I'm going to try this. And he's never complacent. He's always trying to improve his product, which is just wild to me because I already feel like his product's the best. So that personable relationship with who's building my equipment, just even furthermore, it's just one relationship, 2 product, and 3, the guy's an amazing guy, man. If you just get a chance to even meet the guy, if you fall in love with him, because he's just his energy. My life has become better just knowing him. He's got such a positive spirit, and all the guys that, that I met through, just by using Senko stick. Mikey Kiso, perfect example. I met him in South Carolina. I mean, just by wearing a shirt. Oh, what do you know about Senko sticks? It's just changed my life, man. And I don't care if I make it to the top. I don't care if I'm the next Jacob Wheeler. I'll always pay for my rods, and if he chooses to help out when he gets big time, that's fine. But I don't think I'll see myself with another rod company. That's probably one thing I'll always buy.
That's pretty cool how you say that, and I'm a big believer about about building the relationships with the companies that you use. Like with Bruiser Baits, I have a really good relationship with Steve Dial over there. I can pick up the phone right now or text him like, dude, I need these baits, this color, this and that, and he'll stop what he's doing, send that to me, no questions asked. Sometimes he doesn't even charge me, and I have to pay for things because I'm the type of guy that, like Alex, he just started a company, and people expect now that they've done something well at the lake or other events, they want free stuff. And dude, you guys, people got to make money. How do you think they're gonna start a business if everybody's just giving free shit away? It's not how it works. You got to pay up. I mean, that guy has to make money so he can succeed, so you can succeed. And and that's the kind of relationships that I have with like, for instance, with ARC and like Eternal Lithium Batteries, True Grit Tackle, all those guys that I'm with. I had the relationships with that individual and that owner, and that's what keeps me marketing that company and using those baits and using those rods and reels and so forth. It's the relationship that you build, and that's cool that you got that with Alex and Senko Sticks. I mean, like I said, he's a hell of a guy. I've met him a few times, and the times that I have met him, he can kind of be a little intimidating because he's a big boy, a big old son of a bitch, And so, he can kind of be a little bit intimidating, but other than that, yeah, guys, you got to check out Senko Sticks. They're all absolutely cool ass rods, and hit up Alex. But Erik, dude, it's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure you coming on and talking a little bit about, about your history and what your goals are for the rest of the year. And now that you got that big win under your belt, and you're going to chase that dream as a boater, and in 2024, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm definitely chasing it, man. I feel like you guys are going to be seeing my name a lot, man. It might not be top 10 right away, but I won't give up. It's going to be top 10 soon. I promise you that.
That's cool, dude. Well, hey, listen, man, I'm going to let you get going, get back to your business, and I appreciate you coming on the pod, and looking forward to possibly meeting you or Okeechobee in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, let's make it happen, man. Take it easy.
All right, man. Later.
Well, that's a wrap, guys. Had a great conversation with Erik Kraft. It was really, really nice getting to know him and how he ended up winning over there at the Harris Chain. Also looking forward to watching him grow throughout this rest of the season, and once he becomes a boater and gets going on with that, and see how he does in the future. So again, Erik, congratulations on the big win. I would also appreciate everyone that's been tuning in and watching. Please subscribe, comment, send me messages. I would like to hear the feedback, what I can do to better the show and future interviews. So next week in episode 3, I'm gonna have a really good friend, another hammer from Lake Okeechobee, Donnie Bass. With this episode, there's gonna be some things that not everybody likes to talk about. That we are going to talk about, and that is skin cancer, cancer period. Also going to bring up other topics we're also going to discuss as well. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Tight lines.